All right, here we are. Well, you go ahead and talk about Grandpa Herfenbach.
Wait, just wait.
Oh, okay, wait.
Jane has an article wrote up here on what our house was like. It says, "Your grandma, do you remember what your childhood home was like? We had a big house, 2 floors. There was a kitchen, dining room, a living room, and a bedroom downstairs. There were 2 beds upstairs and a storage cellar. The cook stove was in the kitchen and a heater in the dining room. I remember the ceiling in my bedroom upstairs would sparkle from the frost in the winter. We had 1 kerosene lamp in the hall upstairs at night. The floor was all wooden. There was no bathroom. The outhouse was not far away from north of the house. The back porch was enclosed. We had a cement in front of our house. Nobody back then had much grass. No flowers, but we had a big garden east of the barn with hogs in it, but the hogs were in the garden. It ran water downhill for the hogs. So then we could water our garden too. We also had a good garden because of that."
Okay.
Where'd that come from?
Jane wrote that up.
Oh, okay.
Jane wrote up, you want one of them books right here?
So what was the garden? You had a garden in St. Ben.
Jane wrote this up, and it's all about.
I remember Mom sent Tony and Ceil out to pick peas. And
Where'd this come from?
they had,
Jane done that, it's all,
I think it was like a
It's a
boiler.
it's a history.
And they wanted to hurry up and get done, so they filled it half full of dirt. They covered it with peas. They took it to the house, they were all done picking peas.
How old were you?
That's Tony's idea.
I just remember that so well.
She didn't write that. That
Tony was always
I don't
full of
remember that
shenanigans.
He was always thinking.
I remember on Easter, I was finding Easter eggs and Easter eggs. I'd put them in my basket never got full, because he'd take them and hide them again.
One thing he would do too, he'd have a towel and he'd
Yeah,
switch a skirt. You had a towel and you'd go like this to a girl and just
when you were doing dishes.
when you were doing dishes, yeah, just to harass us, and that would hurt every time he would hit us with it.
I'm sorry.
Too late.
In the book here, this one don't have it in, does it?
So-
And then he had me
This is
busy
questions
out in the
that she filled them all
backyard
out.
one day.
Okay.
He was
She wrote it all out
digging
in there.
in the dirt and finding
I got
pennies.
surprised about what things that she put in there too.
No matter where you would dig, you'd find some more
She bought
pennies.
the book from the book
He was
fair
dropping the
up
same
here at
pennies
school,
all
and she
the
thought it
time.
was so
You were
cute.
getting-
So she sent for one for each one of the brothers and sisters,
Oh.
and for me, and then
You
for her
make
own
it fit
kids.
anybody.
Yeah, and then you fill it all with your
And
own
then
stuff.
he made stilts too for
It's
us
really,
to walk.
yeah, really nice.
that
She done a
was
good
fun.
job.
That was
Yeah.
fun, yeah, I remember those.
Good thinking.
What did you want to say about Grandpa Herkenbach?
Oh, you know, the year my dad come home from the army, he, see that year Slim got married, so, they were short of corn. Slim picked his corn, Pete was supposed to pick his corn. But anyhow, it had rained, I mean, it was froze. The ground got, this way, the ground got froze and the wheels got kind of wide, from frost. And anyhow, Pete and my dad, they was chipping away and chipping away, and all once they broke the dang handle on the spade, broke the handle. And my dad said, "What are we gonna do now?" Oh, he said, "We'll fix that." So Uncle Pete, so he took it and pounded it together just as hard as he could, and hung it up in the shed. I guess when Grandpa come to use his spade, here the darn first time to the ground fell apart. And that night he was asking, "Who broke my spade?" Nobody broke the spade. But they used to pull a lot of tricks on him, a lot of tricks.
So what was, when you had the garden, what'd you have in your garden when you were in St. Ben or at the house in, where John is? What would you grow in the garden, or who is responsible for the garden? Was it your dad or your mom?
Mom,
And what what would she grow?
All the vegetables,
Potatoes?
potatoes, and they had sweet corn.
Well, potatoes we had in the field though, the big patch in the field.
Up at St. Ben though, they had them
Oh, did they?
east of the house.
When you lived in St. Ben, did you rent land?
No, we just found that quarter.
But you didn't own that quarter.
grandpa,
Grandpa Claus.
Oh, Grandpa Clausen owned the quarter. Oh, okay. I didn't know
but
that.
we'd always planned our potatoes on Good Friday. I thought about it one day and I thought, well, that made sense, that's the day his kids were home.
Learn a lost cause, huh?
Yeah.
They still go for that first Friday falls, though, don't
Do you?
they? Plan-
Oh, that's
I
what they
must be
say, you're supposed
certain.
to
Yeah.
plan them on Good
They
Friday.
still say Good
On
Friday.
Good Friday?
Yeah,
Well, that was the day his kids were home.
yeah.
So did you all help with all the canning all the time?
Yes, we
A lot
did.
of canning and,
And as a teenager, and I was going out on dates, if I came home late, the next day I was sent out to the garden to either weed or pick beans or in that hot, hot sun. That was my punishment for staying out too late.
What was late?
Well, I imagine any time after midnight.
Oh, okay. Our thing that we would do would be going to dances in Humphrey. Every Sunday night we had a dance, and all the teenagers would go to that dance, or all the young kids would go for miles around. They'd
I
come to
think-
Humphrey.
I think 90% of the people our age met their spouse at that Humphrey Ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was fun.
is there any like stories where you got stuck, leaving the dances or, the roads weren't that great?
Well, we got lost, the carload that I was with at a dance in Lindsay, and they were taking Pinky Pinger home. And they made the wrong turn and we ended up in St. Ed.
Oh, no.
And it got very late that night, and I don't know why, but when I wasn't home at a certain time, Mom and Dad would get in the car and go look for me. And you know that big hill north of our place? We were coming toward the house, toward home, and here comes Dad up the hill in the middle of the road. We had to take the ditch. But I don't know why they did that.
You
You
wouldn't know
know,
where it
it's
finds anyhow.
no, that's a large
Could be a
country.
mile off or half a mile off.
Yeah.
It'd be like finding a needle in a haystack, really.
Yeah, but
Pat,
they
can you tell
would
about,
always find you.
They would find
Good.
you.
can you tell about meeting Francis at the dance? Didn't you want him to come up and ask you to dance? And that had happened.
It was at Francis Sand's wedding, and Ceil, you were bridesmaid, weren't you?
No.
Oh. And anyway, you and I were at the dance together. And I had been noticing Francis for months. He was out there dancing every dance. I'd love to see him, he was a good dancer. And here he comes walking towards Ceil and I thought, oh, he's gonna ask me to dance finally. Here he asked Ceil. What a low blow. But I still ended up with him.
Anyway, it worked out for everybody, I guess.
I called him.
Now,